All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today. And the first thing I want to talk about is JPMorgan will offer Bitcoin trading if there is client demand, says the COO. So JPMorgan doing a 180. I remember a couple years back he was calling it, Jamie Dimon was calling it rat poison squared and all that stuff with Bitcoin. Or maybe that was Warren Buffett. But either way, Jamie Dimon was fudding on Bitcoin, something fierce. And of course, Jamie Dimon doesn't say that they will offer Bitcoin trading. He's got to give that job to somebody else so he doesn't look like a complete fool. JP Morgan co-president and COO Daniel Pinto has said the banking giant will support Bitcoin trading if there is client demand for it. If over time an asset class develops that is going to be used by different asset managers and investors, we will have to be involved. And that's just the most vague thing I've ever heard in my life, I think. And I've heard a lot of vague things in the world of crypto, that's for sure. That's a very vague one. So basically, if other people are trading it, then they're going to have to get involved too. But you guys are really, really late on this one. Pinto told CNBC in an interview, the demand isn't there yet, but I'm sure it will be at some point. No, it's here right now. I'm telling you, I promise you on this one. Last month, JP Morgan reportedly held a meeting with thousands of traders and sales staff around the world, and the company was asked when it would get involved with Bitcoin, and Pinto reportedly struck an optimistic tone. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon has previously spoken skeptically of Bitcoin, calling it a fraud. And I think spoken skeptically of Bitcoin is quite the understatement indeed. According to Pinto, Bitcoin is gaining wider acceptance. He cited BlackRock's recent move of adding Bitcoin futures as an eligible investment in two of its funds as proof of wider adoption. Pinto further said that if Bitcoin gets regulated, JP Morgan traders would involve vetted clients and reputable exchanges, including Coinbase. That makes total sense. Traditional financial institutions and corporates are warming up to Bitcoin at a faster pace. Yesterday, America's oldest bank, BNY Mellon, said it plans to custody Bitcoin. And again, we'll talk about that next. Why not? BNY Mellon to offer Bitcoin services, a validation of crypto from a key bank in the financial system. So BNY Mellon, I think, is one of the oldest banks, is the nation's oldest bank indeed. So Bank of New York Mellon, the nation's oldest bank, said Thursday that it will begin financing Bitcoin and other digital currencies. The custody bank will eventually allow digital currencies to pass through the same financial network it currently uses for more traditional holdings like U.S. Treasury bonds and equities. After months of analysis of its prototype digital asset framework, BNY Mellon is proud to be the first global bank to announce plans to provide an integrated service for digital assets. So growing client demand for digital assets, maturity of advanced solutions, and improving regulatory clarity present a tremendous opportunity for us to extend our current service offerings to this emerging field. It's been a while, guys. It's been around a while. I get it, though. I get it why the big banks and the institutions and stuff have not gotten on Bitcoin already, or even a year ago or 2 years ago, just because of the fact that they've made billions with the current system, and they really didn't have a need to get into Bitcoin until the price is super, super high. Although, of course, that shoulda, woulda, coulda could be a thing, but I get it. Could all just crash on them, and that would be super bad for BNY Mellon, JP Morgan, and stuff. Much worse than the average individual person. So I do get it, but you guys are a little bit late on this one. Moving on to some different news here, some real quick news. Andrew Yang, the previous Democratic presidential candidate, the guy that was pro-Bitcoin, the guy that wanted to give everybody $1,000 a month in the United States for a stimulus kind of deal. He basically lost the Democratic debates, in case you guys were living under a rock on that one. But now he's trying to be the mayor of New York City. And he says, as mayor of New York City, the world's financial capital, I would invest in making the city a hub for BTC and other cryptocurrencies. And I think the best part of this is not the fact that we might have a mayor of New York City who's polling very well as a potential mayor of New York City that would like Bitcoin and try to use it as a hub for other cryptocurrencies and stuff. Not that news. That's not the interesting part in this. The comments are the most interesting part in this. Pretty sure one of the main appeals of crypto is that it's not in one central hub. Well, that's super good. I kind of like that one. But I think for pronouncements like this, it'd be great to find one living person in the NYCHA housing, one teacher who's worried about how to plan for in-person classes, one cab driver or waiter whose job is being displaced, and see if this is something that helps them. Just one. It's really the naivety of people in Bitcoin that are, against Bitcoin, that they have no clue that it's sort of like a Dunning-Kruger syndrome. People don't know that they don't know about Bitcoin, or they think that they know about Bitcoin, but they don't know that they don't know. People think it's some kind of PayPal bucks or some kind of digital currency that was just poofed into existence, which I guess you kind of could argue that in 2009 it did come into existence. However, they don't get how it actually works and how a lot of work goes into Bitcoin and the security of the chain so long, that sousy Bitcoin, and they just don't get it. Maybe it doesn't help them directly, but that doesn't mean it should be ignored. That's a good one. And then somebody says how and why. I worked in finance, and it took several days for a very patient person to explain cryptocurrency to me. This will not resonate well with voters. The city has to be reimagined. We need bold, realistic initiatives. Well, this is a very bold and very realistic initiative to the person who works in finance, but somehow just can't understand Bitcoin. It seems like I'm going to be needing to make some newbie Bitcoin videos here pretty soon. I'm going to need to make some videos on how to buy Bitcoin because apparently people just can't figure it out. What Bitcoin is, I'm pretty sure I've made videos on them in the past, but now that the big bull run is here, I think I need to go back to the basics and start teaching people that they can buy fractional amounts of Bitcoin, how they can buy the Bitcoin, and why Bitcoin works. I made a video on how mining works, but again, just not enough. Working in finance, what does that even mean? Explain to me like a complete idiot. Seriously, I want to understand it so badly, but clarity eludes me. So these people just don't get it. They don't know where to look up how Bitcoin works. Basically using Google. It's astonishing the amount of people in the world with the price of Bitcoin as it is. Everybody thinks that, wow, everybody's getting into Bitcoin. And this is kind of true, but at the same time, people just overwhelmingly do not know anything about Bitcoin. They think it's just some digital security bucks that can just be vanished off the face of the planet. They don't realize the nodes, the mining, the security, the blockchain, how much actual electricity and time and what proof of work really means. The fact that you found a hash that was less than or equal to the previous nonce that is 19 zeros in length, and how hard and physically and mentally impossible that would be in order to find that exact solution. And that's what proof of work is, because it cannot be guessed and it's basically impossible to even mathematically work it out. You would have to try a quintillion times. Proof of work, even then it would just be like, whoa. So I need to get on some of them really, really, really easy videos for people. Apparently I need to go back to my roots. These comments definitely need to go back to the roots, because wow, it is just astonishing. If you guys want a good laugh, go to the Andrew Yang tweet and just read through this. People are just oh, we can help Binance. Oh man, look at you, CZ, getting in on it. CZ is so legit. Funds of Seifu. Apple Pay taps BitPay and adds a Bitcoin payment. So Bitcoin payments are now on Apple via Apple Pay via BitPay. So again, the third-party problem with Bitcoin weaseling their way into Bitcoin in between me and you, and they're weaseling their way on in. But this is just the way the world is going to be working right now. I highly suggest going around Apple Pay and simply just paying somebody directly with Bitcoin, as if it's literally one of the first things in the Bitcoin white paper is talking about how you payments over the internet require a third party, and then BitPay comes along, Apple Pay comes along, and all these third parties to try and get a couple of your dollars on the way to somebody else. Still, good news for adoption though, question mark. So I always feel weird about these sort of news articles that talk about how somebody is picking up Bitcoin in such a way like this, where they're just essentially creating a third party and they're weaseling their way in between me and you when it wasn't necessary in the first place, because Bitcoin literally works without third parties. That's its whole feature. That's like the main feature of Bitcoin. And I could send you Bitcoin, and you can send me Bitcoin. Hey, donations are great. Yeah, it was a good try, I know. But in between each other, we don't need BitPay, but adoption, I suppose. BitPay MasterCard holders can now add their crypto-funded cards as a mode of payment on Apple Pay. The crypto company said Google and Samsung are next, which is huge, but it is a third party, so this double-edged sword coming at you. This catch-22 situation is just, the train is just rolling. It just literally says catch-22 on the train, and the like Jethro Tull, the stick of the train is broken, and it's just rolling down the track, you know. You guys, maybe some people will get the Jethro Tull reference. Anyway, Apple has joined forces with Bitcoin payment processor BitPay. Recently, RBC Capital Market Report found that Apple could significantly increase its earnings. Exactly. Apple could increase its earnings by getting in on that Bitcoin if it starts to support crypto payments in its wallet. The multinational company has chosen BitPay to kickstart the project instead of first running the project in-house. BitPay is the largest crypto payment processor, allowing purchasers and vendors to send or receive cryptocurrency payments or fiat payments alternatively, which on one end is a great idea, because you're giving, you know, if a vendor doesn't accept Bitcoin, if they don't even know what it is, you can still pay them in Bitcoin via BitPay and they get their fiat. But at the same time, BitPay is essentially a moot company in the sense that they're not needed at all. They just sort of weaseled their way in between the peer-to-peer network, essentially making it no longer peer-to-peer by sending it directly to a person. But I digress. The partnership will allow Apple to gauge the demand for crypto payments among customers. The BitPay card can be funded using Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ether, and $4 pegged stablecoins, and such. But moving on to some different news here. Miami is going full Bitcoin. The city supports efforts to hold Bitcoin in the treasury and allow tax payments in BTC. So Miami City's commissioner voted Thursday night to support Mayor Francis Suarez's resolution that would make Miami a highly Bitcoin-forward city. In a video thanking the commissioners for their support, the pro-Bitcoin mayor explained that the resolution directs the city manager, after analysis, to procure a vendor to be able to offer our employees to get a percentage of their salary in Bitcoin, allow our residents to pay for fees in Bitcoin, and also would allow the city manager to cooperate with the Miami County to allow the taxes to be paid in Bitcoin. It's also a request of the state legislature. I could talk, I promise. It's a thing. It's hard, but I can do it. That the city of Miami supports efforts to make Bitcoin an acceptable currency for us to potentially invest in the future. It's wonderful to be a very crypto-forward city, Mayor Suarez concluded after thanking his commission colleagues again for allowing that to happen. Miami City Hall could begin conducting some of its financial transactions in Bitcoin, the Miami Herald reported, adding that the city will launch education campaigns in English, Spanish, and Creole to inform people about the cryptocurrency. So yay, we have a cryptocurrency city in the United States. Officially, poof, there we go. Hey, and it's Miami, which is fair enough. Miami, why not? I don't think I would have guessed Miami as the first one. I kind of would have guessed something, more San Francisco or a little bit forwards thinking kind of California. But Florida is just a complete, anybody that's not from the United States, Florida is a complete outlier in the United States. Florida is just a very, very interesting state for Americans. Just in case you don't know, if you're from Europe or something like that, Florida, there was barely even any Native Americans in Florida because there's alligators, mosquitoes, deadly snakes, hurricanes about 6 to 7 times a year, and everything in between. So I think it was only the Seminole Indians, and I don't even think they were down in the Everglades. I'm not even sure, but a brutal, brutal place to live if you were a primitive tribe like that. So nobody lived there. Anyway, moving on. Bitcoin ETF approved. First North American Bitcoin ETF set to trade on Toronto Stock Exchange. So the United States fallen behind as usual in the crypto world. Canada moving forward. Good for you, Canadians. Good for you. Good for you. Bitcoin ETF, an exchange traded fund, is in Toronto now. So the Ontario Securities Commission approved a Bitcoin exchange traded fund for purposes of Bitcoin ETF on Thursday. The fund's filing describes that this ETF is an alternative mutual fund that invests and holds substantially all of its assets in long-term holdings of the digital currency Bitcoin. The fund manager, Purpose Investments Incorporated, confirmed Thursday that it has been cleared by Canadian securities regulators to launch Purpose Bitcoin ETF, which the company says is the first direct custody Bitcoin ETF in the world. Purpose Investments is an asset manager company with more than $10 billion in assets under management. Its website details the company described the ETF will be the first in the world to invest directly in physically settled Bitcoin, not derivatives, allowing investors easy and efficient access to the emerging asset class of cryptocurrency without the associated risk of self-custody within a digital wallet. Although I would promote the holding of your own Bitcoin, but fair enough, ETF, that's not how you're going to make money. But we've been waiting for an ETF for quite a long time. Purpose Bitcoin ETF has been conditionally approved to trade on the Toronto Stock Exchange, subject to listing requirements, and will be offered on a continuous basis. The filing adds, investors can buy and sell these Bitcoin ETF units on the TSX through registered brokers or dealers where they reside. So nothing for you and me, more just on the broker level kind of person that's going to be investing, but an ETF is certainly a big deal. Now, a Bitcoin ETF is kind of interesting because, especially if it's only Bitcoin, then it's sort of just like kind of an exchange, really, like that we already have. Traditionally, an ETF is sort of like mutual stock. Now, mutual stock is a group or listing and group of stocks that you invest in that have a good track record over time. Like you'll put 10,000 or 100,000 into it, and at the end of the day, it buys or sells. People could buy or sell those packages, and it goes up and down at the end of the day, just once. Whereas an ETF is sort of a package of stocks that people can buy and sell all day long. So without a package of something like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin all together that you would invest in, an ETF for Bitcoin is a little bit strange, but this is a world first and super big news. So moving on here to crypto market caps, coin, dirk, or cap, all that stuff. Bitcoin at $47,931. Our market cap is nearly at 1.5 billion, which makes the entirety of the crypto market cap significantly larger than many companies and other assets in the entirety of the world. Ethereum at $1,858, going way up. Chainlink at $31.76 with calls that Chainlink may hit $100. Now, I've seen a lot of videos out there, those sort of clickbaity videos, and ain't nothing wrong with clickbait, I suppose. But, with $1,000 Chainlink plastered on the thumbnail. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but with all of the partnerships going on with Chainlink, I think Chainlink deals with Deutsche Telekom, etc. $100 Chainlink is really not particularly out of the question, and I believe there's going to be some staking in the future, and there's a website that will allow the staking beforehand. I'll have to get on that in a different video. But Litecoin was called to be $200 when it was something like $150, and that came to be true. $202 Litecoin, so pretty nice. Cardano still not quite at $1 yet, although I believe that's probably going to happen. XRP going way up as well, without much news to bring it up right now. Maybe it was my other video I made yesterday, even though basically nobody watched it. But hey, that's fine, right? But 63 cent XRP. But if you didn't catch the previous video, basically it was about how I think that XRP is going to $1. Now, do I think it's worth $1? It doesn't really matter. Do you think it's worth $1? Doesn't really matter. The idea is that as soon as the XRP clears from the SEC, now if it's a security, they might just get fined, and they might be just fine to continue their business. Their business might have to get dissolved. It might be so bad. Who knows what the problem is there. However, if XRP is found to not be a security and to be a currency, That means that over 30 exchanges are going to relist or unsuspend XRP. That means a ton of investors that basically FUD sold all of their XRP in fear of it going to some super low price will likely buy back in and FOMO back in. Aside from that, Grayscale dissolved their entire XRP fund, and they may resolve it or put it back together. Gonna need a good thesaurus for that one. But basically, remake the XRP fund and have investors start buying in once they know that they're in the clear. So that's going to be huge FOMO for XRP. I mean, just the floodgates will be opened, essentially. So many people will be able to trade again on exchanges that they couldn't do that before. I mean, there's like 26 or 30 exchanges that basically delisted or suspended it. So it'll be huge. Will it hit $1 and then just immediately tank? I don't know. Will it hit $1 and go far way above it? I don't know. But I definitely think it'll be heading quite significantly to $1 when that news is released to the public that it is not a security. But that's all I have for you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, share the video. That helps me out a lot. Also, my social media is in the description below. Give me a follow on those if you get the opportunity to do so. Channel memberships are now active, and we had some additional members join the channel. Let me just tell you, you look 32% cooler. That's 32% gains for $2.99 for a channel membership. You help the channel, and when you comment and you got that sweet badge on the side, boy, I could see that from space. That's all I have for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and as usual, I'll see you guys next time.